Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani wa yafqahu qawli wa yafqahu qawli wa yafqahu qawli. मेरी तरफ से आप सबको हाइको की तरफ से इमरान कयूम की तरफ से आप सबको सलाम। जो भी हमारे देखने वाले हैं पाकिस्तान में, पाकिस्तान से बाहर, जो हमारे चैनल को भी देखेंगे, देख रहे हैं, आप सबको मेरी तरफ से अस्सलाम वालेकुम। तो let's start. Thank you very much, Mr. Mahdi Tajani. I introduced you. The Mahdi Tajani is from Iran. He's a climate control engineer, and they have a new climate controller, the Spectrum, and he will show us that what's the characteristic of the controller and what the controller do. So I will introduce you, Mr. Ahmed Tajani. Welcome, Mr. Ahmed Tajani. Welcome to Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. Imran. I'm so glad to join you and other participants in this webinar, and I hope this webinar be useful for me and you, and I can start if you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Mr. Ahmed, Mr. Mahdi Tajani, we and my all participants welcome you in Pakistan. So let us know that what is the climate changer? You claim that our climate controller is a climate changer. So let us know that what is the characteristic of your controller, and what is the unique of your controller? Because we have dealing with a lot of controllers, but what is the unique thing in your controller, and how you say that is the climate changer? The Spectrum is the climate changer. Please start, help yourself, please.
Okay. Can I share the screen?
Yes, please, please. Because how we see your controller without screen? Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Please start, sir.
My screen sharing is disabled. Can you enable it, Mr. Imran?
Yes.
Please enable screen sharing, if possible.
Sorry?
Screen sharing, please enable it if possible.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. In the meantime, you show us your controller, sir, please.
Okay. I want to show it in a PowerPoint. If you enable the screen sharing.
Yes, please. Now
go.
you can share your presentation, please.
Thank you so much. If I want to introduce the Spectrum climate control system, first of all, I want to describe the main parts of the controller. We have the main computer here, P7091S, and 826216 actuator, and differential pressure sensors, power box, NTC temperature sensors, out temperature and humidity sensors, and inside temperature and humidity sensors. And in addition to these parts, inlet winches, error detection systems, IO extensions, soda and ammonia sensors, and guard supervision systems are parts of the spectrum control, climate control system. In this slide, you can see the main computer of the spectrum climate control system. We call it P7091S. It has a 9-inch color TFT LCD with capacitive touch panel, and it can be completely end-user customized because of its flexibility in ventilation method, in programming method, and setting methods. And some more important factors and parameters like target temperature and minimum ventilation limits can be easily set by the user. It has a USB flash support for copying and pasting settings, and MMC support for saving parameter charts, ability of communication with up to 64 devices over RS485 bus. And the distance can be up to 1,000 meters. It has internal backup battery and some shortcut capacitive touch keys, which you can see them here. In software viewpoint, we have multi-level user account support, and we can define the access levels for each user. For example, some user can go to settings, some just do some parameter modifications. We have RFID card and tag support for user access, and it supports multi-language in Persian, Urdu, English, and so on. It has built-in GSM SMS module for alarm and reports, and built-in LAN or GPRS internet support. We can have all data in the system on the internet, and it has a built-in normally closed alarm relay. We have Android application now, and iOS application will come soon. I want to show the system here. I have one of the main computers here, and let me. I think the video quality is so low. You can see the main computer here, but it has capacitive touch, as you can see here. If I enter the password, I can go to setting pages, and we can see the parameters of the house here. We have some shortcut keys here, and it has an RFID or RFID card or tag for user access level. It supports GSM, SMS, and the MCI, USB flash, and some other interfaces for communicating with it. We can have some settings in the main page for users, some more important parameters like target temperature, like maximum ventilation levels, and some other parameters, some other modification which is needed by the user. And of web application here. It has a web application. You can connect to the website and see the diagrams, charts, and even some tables of the temperature temperature and other parameters recorded by the system, and even the situation of the house. And also an Android application. Again, the charts, tables, and setting warnings, notifications. It supports multiple farms in an application. In a single application, you can have several farms in an application and see the parameters and control the farms by a single application. Another main parts of the Spectrum climate control system is the actuator. We have some actuators. One of the most applicable ones is A206-216 actuator. It has 20 relay outputs and 6 analog outputs, 0 volt to 10 volt, with PID controller ability. It has 2 digital inputs for example, for water counters, for egg counters, and any other digital inputs. 6 analog inputs. In this part of the actuator, we can see 8 analog inputs in this part and another 8 analog inputs in this part. And we can connect NTC sensors, temperature sensors, humidity sensors, CO2 and ammonia sensors to these analog inputs. All IOs, inputs and outputs of the system, are noise-free and optically isolated. Even the network interface is optically isolated and it's noise-free. It supports RS485 bus and it can communicate with the P7091. It has a built-in LCD for fast installation and setup, and it has a dedicated normally closed alarm relay for showing the warning and fault of the network and any other problem. We have a power box in this system. It has 2 isolated 12 volt 1 ampere regulated DC outputs and 2 non-regulated 12 volt 1 ampere DC outputs. It has a internally normally closed alarm relay also, like other equipments. It uses a toroidal transformer, and the package is DIN rail mount, and it can be installed in a electrical cabinet. One of the sensors most is used in the poultry houses is the temperature and humidity sensor with display. We call it SWD, sensor with display. It has a built-in display on it, and the workers in the house can see the temperature and humidity. Its temperature range is from -50 to 85 degrees of centigrade, and its humidity range is from 5% to 90%. And also it works in non-condensing situations. Sensor element is Swiss made by Sensorion Co. And it supports, it has 2 versions of RS485 bus and 0 volt to 10 volt interface options. This is our inlet winch. The inlet winch, as you can see in this picture, it has a powerful motor, geared motor with a worm gearbox. It is double geared motor. and it can offer a torque more than 50-100 kilograms centimeter. It needs a 24-volt DC voltage. It has an electronic controller with 0 to 10-volt input. It has manual mode. You can, for example, change the inlet clearance manually by the buttons on the device. The calibration method is very easily done by this system, and it doesn't need any a specific knowledge for calibration. No extra electrical equipment is needed in the electrical cabinet for this motor. For example, no contactors, no bimetals, any other electrical equipment. It has a optical rotary encoder for position feedback, and it has a double side belt, which because of its flexibility and because of its flexibility, it is very high endurance. In practice, this motor can open about 80 inlet windows, and as you can see, it's powerful enough. Another equipment which is used by the spectrum controllers, climate controller, is error detection system. It has 8 Hall effect sensors installed on the fans, and it can count rotation of each fan per minute, and it can show you the RPM of each fan. And if a fan doesn't work and it has a command from the controller system, it shows that there is a problem, there is a damage in the system, and it can automatically change the damaged fan with the true one. And one of the most important notes about this system is any faults, electrical cabling, mechanical, any other fault which is occurred in the system can be distinguished by the EDS. Also, we have some I/O extensions, some extension cards. We have digital output 8, digital input 10 digital input card, and analog output 8 and analog input 8 extension boards. All I/Os are noise-free and optically isolated like other equipments in this climate controller. They support RS487 bus support, and they are DIN rail mount. All of them has an extra normally closed alarm relay. If we need more, for example, in a house, we need more fans. We have more fans than 20 numbers, and we have equipments. We need more temperature sensors. We can use these I/O extensions and increase the number of input and output of the system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tajani. And let me know that how many sensors we can install, how many temperature sensors we can install with your controller.
We can have 16 analog inputs, okay, in the system. Also, this number can be increased by using the analog input extension boards, but this 16 analog inputs can be used for temperature sensors, for example, or humidity sensors. But if you just have the A206 216 actuator, you can have up to 16 temperature sensor.
Okay, right. And I am very surprised that your controller is a touch system controller. Touch system controller.
Sorry, I didn't hear, Mr.
Just so you can go and touch
Yes,
the
yes.
screen.
It has a capacitive touch, not a real.
Right.
Yes, yes. It has a capacitive touch. Touch screen instead of resistive touch screen. It is so sensitive that resistive ones, and uh, in addition to the capacitive touch screen, we have some touch keys on the main computer.
Right. And how many parameters we can saw in the controller? You please tell us the parameters which are showing by the controller. How many parameters are
Actually, there is no limitation of number of parameters. Okay.
on the one time?
There
How
is no
many parameters
limitations in
showed by
number
the
of
controller?
parameters.
Yes.
As I said, there is no limitation of parameters can be shown by the system. Okay, we can have we have about I should let me check.
Now your voice is now clear because before it's
Yes,
very
yes.
low voice. Yes, please.
Uh, okay, we have 100 variables, about 100 functions, and the number of devices which can be connected to the system is about 64. Okay, 64 devices can be connected to the
Right.
main computer on RS487 bus. Yes, and actually in the poultry house control system, we have no limitations in the number of IOs. The maximum number of IO which is set for this system is 2000 IOs, and 64 devices can be connected to the system on the RS485 bus.
Okay, Mr. Tajani, I understand that it's the option that you can set which parameter is the important and you can set on your control screen. Yes, I know.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Okay, now in the meantime, you please let us know that what is the parameter now showing in the controller. You please touch your hand and tell us this is a temperature sensor, this is the entry sensor, this is the inlet opening, this is the carbon dioxide sensor or carbon monoxide or carbon or ammonia sensor. You please show us now at this time what is the parameters shown by the controller.
Uh, any parameter which is needed in a house can be shown by the system. Okay, and for example, in this screen we have some about 6 temperature sensors in this positions. You can see them.
Right.
And because there is no sensor connected to the system, the number is minus 100 degree of centigrade because there is no connection.
Right.
And the yellow color, yellow status color, which is shown here, shows that this sensor is damaged because it is not connected to the system. If you have more sensors, we can show more sensors here in the more temperature parameters in this main page. And some heaters are shown here, some circulator fans are showing here. We have about, I think, 10 fans here at the end of the house, and 4 side fans is showing on the main page. The percent of the inlet, the percent of the curtain, the clearance of the cooling pad curtains are shown here. The differential pressure is shown in this position, the inside humidity, and outside temperature, outside humidity, the percent of the cooling pad, cooling pad pump, and the percent of the humidifier is shown in the main page. In addition, we have the target temperature, the number of chickens in the house. We can enter the number of deaths. It shows the bird's age, and we have a setting page here, which, for example, show in which outside temperature we have the minimum ventilation, and the transition ventilation temperature is shown here. Even the tunnel ventilation temperature is shown in this page. We can set the maximum ventilation limits in this part, for example. All of them are modifiable by the user, okay, and can be user customized. We can have, for example, the first week maximum number of fans, second week maximum number of fans, and so on. And even the average temperature and effective temperature. For example, in these settings, we have a side fan activation menu here. We can activate or deactivate the side fan in the house, I think. Yes.
And let me know that, Mr. Mahdi Tajani, let me know how we set the minimum ventilation parameters. Only can we set the minimum air ventilation rate in cubic meter per hour, or we set the number of birds in the house, and how we set the minimum ventilation in your controller? How we can set?
The minimum ventilation depends on the number of birds in the house.
My question is just a minute.
Age of the bird.
I will tell you again that how your controller calculate the minimum ventilation of the house. Yes, this is the question.
Mm-hmm. There isn't a constant method of calculating the minimum ventilation in this controller system, okay?
Yes.
We can define some functions and change any, depending on the house needs, we can change and modify the functions and the parameters of the system. But for example, in this sample we have here, the minimum ventilation is calculated by the age of the birds and the number of birds in the house, and the effect of the outside temperature and also inside temperature. Okay, we have 4 factors in this sample we have here: the effect of inside temperature, outside temperature, the age of the birds, and the number of the birds in the house.
And also your controller calculates the air speed of the house. Can we see the air speed of the house? Can we see the air speed of the house in your controller?
Yes, air speed of the house is not shown here. We have the effective temperature that, for example, let me show you. in these settings, the air speed is not entered, okay? It is used by the controller for calculating the effective temperature, the wind chill factor and wind chill effect. And it calculates the effective temperature by the wind speed. But the wind speed is not shown here, but I can add it, for example, to the main page, and it takes about, for example, 2 minutes that I can add the wind speed here. The wind speed is calculated by the number of fans in the house, and also it can be calculated by the differential pressure. And both of them can affect the wind speed, calculated wind speed.
Right. It means your controller calculate the chill factor also?
Yes, it calculates the wind chill effect, okay, by the, it has some parameters on calculating of wind chill. We use the wind speed, the age of the birds, the inside temperature, and we have a wind chill factor which depends on the concentration of the birds in the house. And let's check, I think some other parameters exist.
Your voice is very low, please.
I know that. I just want to read the parameters here. Yes, the number of fans, number of working fans is used for calculating the wind speed, and temperature, inside temperature, and age of the birds affect the chill factor, and by these parameters, the wind chill effect is calculated.
Right. So thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Mahdi Tajiani from Iran. And he just demonstrated the spectrum, his controller. Yes, really, I am impressed because I have installed dozen of controllers, maybe more than centuries. I did, and I worked on Scope, Big Dutchman, and Hired Hand, and Fancom, Agrologic, Tematron, HP40, and lot of. So really, it's a very new invention. And how many controllers you sold till now in Iran and all other countries? Let me please know.
We have equipped about, I should say, near 2,000 poultry houses in Iran, and in some neighbor countries like Azerbaijan, Iraq, yes, Afghanistan, and the number of the poultry houses equipped, I think, is near 2,000 poultry houses.
Oh, very good, very good. That's very good. In 2020, 2,000 is a very good figure. And hopefully that I like it, your controller. And what is the cost of in Pakistan, your controller, your package for Pakistan? What will be the cost?
I can let me check it just a moment, please. Just a moment.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for your time. Just approximately, you can tell us approximately.
Sorry, Mr.
No problem.
It depends completely on the order, okay, and the number of the equipments which is installed in the house, the number of electronic winches, and um, any other equipments. But the minimum cost, I think, starts from 2,200 US dollar
Right.
for each house. Yes.
And in $2,200, we will get one controller, and the other thing,
Yes.
what we will get the other?
The main computer, the actuator, about 6 temperature sensors, 1 humidity sensor, and it contains, I think, I should check it, but I think it contains 2 inlet
Inlet
winches.
motors. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, inlet
Right.
motors.
Okay,
2
that's
inlet
good.
motors.
That's good. That's good.
Okay.
So I am very happy, and I congratulate you that you did a very good job,
Thank you so
and
much.
now your product is really very user friendly, and yes, it's very user friendly. And do you change the language of your controller for Pakistan in
Sorry, can you
Urdu?
repeat it?
Can you
Okay, yes,
shift?
yes. Yes, I should explain something in this part. The handwriting and the fonts is important in the system. All the parameters, all the name of the sensors, any other parameters which is shown to the user can be defined in the installation step, okay, in the installation step. Just the font is important for this system, and this system now supports the English font and the Arabic font, and so it can show all parameters can be translated to the Urdu, and there is no limitation in the language.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
It
Thank you.
supports the
Thank
fonts.
you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I thankful to Mahdi One also. My friend Mahdi One is also uh, a big poultry housing consultant of Iran. And I thank you, Mr. Mahdi Tajani, Mahdi too. So grateful, and you gave us a your precious time, and tell us that your controllers compete with the European controllers, with the American controllers. Yes, now I show that it competes. Yes, the controllers, the appearance of the controllers, the working of the controllers, the parameter of the controllers. Yes, that is very latest, and really it works. Yes, and thank you, Mr. Tajani. So nice, so great. And do you have anything you want to tell us? If you have, please.
Just I want to thank you again, Mr. Imran, and it's really my pleasure to join your webinar and you and other participants here. And I'm so glad I'm here. I hope we can work with each other in future, and I can visit Pakistan, and it will be my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes, inshallah, inshallah. Thank you very much. So great. Thank you very much to all. And inshallah ta'ala, we will see you again. And we have some other questions but this will be on next time with you and that one. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.